Okay, welcome. I'm Stephen from Artifact, and I'm here today with the three founders of Onfleet, Khaled, Mikel, and David.
I'm Khaled, and I am the co-founder and CEO at Onfleet.
I'm David. I'm co-founder and CTO.
And I am Mikel, and I'm co-founder and VP of engineering.
Onfleet is a technology company based in San Francisco that specializes in last-mile delivery software and currently serves customers in over 90 countries. So, guys, I'd like to just start out with hearing your story. How did you meet, and how was Onfleet formed?
Sure, thanks, Stephen. So, Mikel and I have known each other since high school. We actually both attended high school in Dubai, at the American School of Dubai, over 15 years ago or so. And Mikel went on to study computer science in Canada. I went to Michigan for my undergrad to study computer engineering there before heading to Stanford for my MBA, a couple weeks into which I met David, who was also studying at Stanford, doing his master's in computer science at the time. And, the three of us just started hacking away at a few different projects before we started Onfleet. The idea for Onfleet came out of our previous startup, Addy, which we worked on for a couple of years while at Stanford. Addy is short for address. It was a URL-based addressing system, effectively. So we set out to solve a problem that exists in many emerging markets. Billions of people lack a functional street addressing system in their country. So we set out to solve that problem with a URL-based addressing system, a simple way for people to create a custom URL that represents a physical location. And, this challenge creates a lot of friction when it comes to last mile delivery. So we learned a lot about the space through that project. We were in talks with e-commerce and delivery businesses at the time that had their own fleets of drivers, and ended up deciding to focus instead on more of an end-to-end delivery management platform a couple of years in, when we realized that companies were resorting to manual pen and paper processes. So these delivery companies, these e-commerce companies that were out doing deliveries, really lacked user-friendly, intuitive, cloud-based, delivery management software that was modern. And B, the other realization was that there was a whole host of companies that were emerging at the time that were effectively reinventing the wheel when it came to delivery logistics software. So there's kind of a wave of on-demand, delivery-focused, consumer-facing apps that were building driver apps, routing technologies, ETA algorithms, real-time tracking, proof of delivery, et cetera. So we decided to build the infrastructure layer for this emerging delivery-centric retail environment that we believed would explode over the coming years and would really play an important role in the future of retail around the world. David, do you want to jump in here?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll start by giving an introduction. I can kind of come back to that question. So in undergrad at CMU, I focused on studying computer science, focusing on AI, as well as cognitive science, focusing on computational neuroscience. So I graduated early, and I decided to pursue a master's at Stanford to decide if I wanted to study machine learning or computational neuroscience, and ended up meeting Khaled the first week, as you mentioned, ended up dropping out and working on originally Addy. We kind of worked through some of the location problems, and that's how we stumbled upon Onfleet, which brings us back to the point you mentioned before. We'd sort of worked through different addressing and geospatial problems, and we saw this was a repeating theme of delivery management. So that kind of seeded the idea. And, we're kind of pulled by our customers toward the product that we ended up building. We had a core vision that we grew from the seed idea of managing deliveries in an efficient way without being encumbered by the historical trajectory of the existing software products. So as far as what I work on, I tend to like the hard computational problems. I built out a lot of the core front end as well, worked on a lot of the back end stuff, built the original iOS app. These days I do more back end, machine learning, data science type things. I spend a lot of my time as an independent contributor, but I also do higher level architecture and infrastructure design type projects.
Okay, cool.
So as Khaled mentioned, met in Dubai. After high school in Dubai, I moved to Canada, East Coast, to study computer science. While an undergrad student, I actually had my first coding job ever with a startup. I was a company of 6 people working on some pretty cool problems. And that really inspired me to one day start my own company. So I graduated, moved to Toronto, and I actually found another job at a startup. That was my first gig out of school. They eventually went on to be acquired by Google. I spent 2 years at IBM working on database security before quitting that to actually start another company in the automotive enterprise software space with a friend who was also living in Toronto, who also went to the same high school as Khaled and I. And this is when Khaled actually hit me up, and he said, he had gone into Stanford Business School for his MBA and was on his way to California and wanted to see if I wanted to work together with him on any of the ideas that we were each having. And so I actually decided to quit that startup, which wasn't actually going all that well, and started working remotely from Toronto with Khaled, and then eventually moving to California. We obviously met David along the way and have been working together since, I think it's been about 8 years. I consider this to be a truly amazing journey. Certainly the longest period of time I've ever spent working on a single problem with a single group of people. As far as our transition from Addy to Onfleet, obviously we gained a lot of interesting insight from working on such a specific part of the last mile logistics problem, which is addressing having to build our own maps and geocoding APIs, and really gaining a better understanding of folks in this space, the issues that we're having, and then being able to zoom out from that and go to market with a product that obviously tackles a whole lot of problems, including geocoding and addressing, but going beyond that to some of the other things that we have been working on and our customers enjoy from our products today.
Onfleet has been described as a product-driven company. Can you tell me what this looks like?
Sure, yeah. I actually just published an article on Forbes about this. Maybe you've seen that. But basically, a product-driven company is one that looks to solve pain points in a market through user research, customer development, and with a focus on a specific type of customer. So really designing a product that solves a real pain point for certain customers rather than trying to build everything for everyone. And I think that's the way to build a long-lasting, impactful company. Sales-driven businesses, on the other hand, tend to focus on growth at all costs, often before finding product market fit, and end up with a leaky bucket of unhappy customers because they're selling what they don't have, promise the world, and end up building bloated products because they get pulled in a lot of different directions by a wide range of customers. So at Onfleet, we spend a lot of time talking to our customers, thinking about how to best design solutions that help them overcome their challenges. This is rooted in our earlier experience with Addy, helping to derive solutions that provide great customer experiences for our customers and help them scale, solutions that are intuitive, effective, and that save our customers time and money. So, our sales and customer success teams sit on the same side of the organization, working hand in hand to understand our customers and solve problems with them. Obviously, sales teams are really important in any B2B organization. And so being a product-driven business doesn't preclude you from having a sales team or from prioritizing it. But, we think of them as solution architects that work closely with our customers to solve problems. And at the same time, our support team sits on the same side of the organization as our engineering team. So we can truly provide the best-in-class support along the way. And I think that's a unique approach that has allowed us to build Onfleet into what is now the fastest growing delivery management software platform on the market.
That's an interesting distinction. And it makes sense, to hear that from you guys coming from an engineering background and, building a company to last, building a product that you want to perfect rather than kind of individual solutions. Mikel, I'd like to hear how you've structured your team to reflect this perspective.
Yeah, sure. So initially, our engineering org was actually structured around the various part of the stack that each of the engineers working on. So back-end, front-end, mobile infrastructure. And, we found that this approach works well for up to 10 engineers or so, but obviously it's hard to scale as you move beyond that engineering headcount. Mostly given how critical it is for us that our engineers be able to have light but meaningful interactions with our product management team. So we've actually recently hired a director of engineering to help us in reorganizing the engineering team. so that our engineers are members of teams that focus on different parts of the product. So routing, data processing, integration, search, data science, all that. And, membership in these pods allows us to build faster while ensuring that engineers have the ability to fully specialize in specific features. So, when you're working on something, there's a PM or an assistant PM for search or, any of the other features, and the folks that have already had the opportunity to master that part of the product. Another important part of building a company to last is our deep focus on creating a work environment that emphasizes psychological safety in every step of the way. So as I often like to say, we're an organization of humans with all the needs that come with that above everything else.
That's a great insight and good words to live or to run a company by. And speaking of those humans, I feel like I have to ask the obvious question: how has the pandemic affected your business?
Of course, delivery has become an increasingly important part of many people's lives during the pandemic. People are increasingly reliant on delivery as the means of getting their goods. So this has, of course, resulted in a surge in demand for many of our customers, particularly in the food and beverage industry, so grocery, restaurant, prepared meals, alcohol, as well as industries like pharmacy and cannabis as well. It's definitely been difficult for many of our clients, including those that have seen a surge in demand. It's often been challenging for them to operate during this environment, having to plan warehouse shifts and delivery shifts in a different way, but also certain segments like catering and dry cleaning, B2B office services, et cetera, have actually taken a hit and have seen their businesses decline. But overall, we've doubled our delivery volume over the past 6 months or so since the beginning of COVID. And, today we're powering hundreds of thousands of deliveries a day. We've also been offering our software free of charge to NGOs, nonprofits, organizations on the front lines of the pandemic to, those that are helping people in need, like food banks and PPE donation drives, grassroots delivery services that are helping out in their local communities by offering things like at-cost delivery services to help keep businesses alive during these times. There's a company in New York called Taste that's doing this and delivering on behalf of restaurants effectively at cost. There's another one in my own neighborhood in San Francisco called North Beach Delivers that's doing something similar. So, we're doing what we can to support those that are really on the front lines in a small way. We've created a job board for drivers to find work completely free of charge. So we have close to 1,000 drivers that are signed up on our job board to find work, because obviously there are many people that are out of work now. And on the flip side, on the other side of the equation, there's many companies that are struggling to meet the increased demand. We put this together quickly and have seen hundreds of drivers find work through this. So it's been great to be able to help in a small way, but obviously the real heroes here are the frontline workers that are out doing those deliveries. So I guess we've taken it as an obligation to do what we can to help and to facilitate retail's transition to delivery. I think this pandemic is kind of a catalyst that accelerated this shift, and a large part of it will be here to stay for the long term.
Mm-hmm. On that note, Mikel, I know that you volunteer as a driver with the Marin Food Bank. Is that right?
Yeah, I love driving and giving back to the community however I can. So yeah, San Francisco Marin Food Bank, when they started using our product, I simply could not say no to the opportunity to help out and drive for them. So my wife and I, love doing their shifts and using our driver app, obviously, which makes it really easy to go about your route. It's also great to get a firsthand look at how big a difference it makes to have highly optimized routes. In some parts of San Francisco, you'll actually make one stop and deliver to five or more dwellings on that same block. The pandemic has hit those in need harder than anyone else, and I think it's really important that we all do our part to help out wherever possible.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have built a product that serves its customers' needs and has also been sort of unexpectedly a position to be in the right place at the right time for growth. So how do you envision the future of continuing to show leadership in delivery technology?
Yeah, so I want to kind of start with some background as far as how we've gotten here. We started originally by saying no to some customers that were kind of out of the focus of what we wanted to build, bringing on customers that were kind of close to the ones we wanted in the future. And so early on, we were kind of controlling what we were building so that we were building it for the right customer base. We tried to think about the problem in a way where we weren't looking at what other people had traditionally done. We wanted to really think about what people needed and how we could build solutions for them. Along the way, we've taken on a lot of hard problems, and this kind of comes from thinking about it fresh. So our product is very live. All the information, locations, statuses of everything, they all update in real time. That comes with its own set of challenges. You can filter the data in real time. There are a number of other sort of technical challenges there. So interesting things we've kind of built from there. We do future predictions for deliveries. So of course we do ETAs for deliveries. I think at this point, everyone kind of assumes that's the case, but we'll do that as well for future deliveries. So deliveries that are, not the one you're doing right now, but maybe, 10 stops, 20 stops, 50 stops down the line. We'll predict those as well. And for that, for example, we'll not only predict the exact ETA, but we'll also predict, in some cases, a time window that can inform things, as well as predicting aspects of the delivery like the service time. So once the driver arrives, they actually drive there, but they have to get out of the vehicle, reach the dwelling or the actual door, potentially go inside the building. And in a city like San Francisco, we have millions of deliveries. So we can actually learn information about the buildings. So in some cases, we have done, say, 10,000 deliveries in a single block. So that kind of data can enable us to show certain buildings may take substantially longer to reach. And that type of prediction can be pretty powerful. We've also focused on capturing data from the beginning. And so as we think about more machine learning oriented things and more deeper tech, having data that we can go back to, of course, obviously we collect more data now than we did at the beginning of the product, but it still helps to have that track record of data. So as far as how we imagine going forward, really the way I see it is we want to build next generation technology. So this means a lot of things. It means more and better prediction. A lot of things can be predicted and you get marginal returns, but they can make a big difference. So a lot of things can change in real time in a number of ways, and adjusting to things that happen in real time is very important. So that's something that is more of a theme than a specific idea, but it's something where when you have that lens, there are a lot of creative ways you can improve how deliveries are done. So other things, of course, so thinking about dispatchers, right? The more we can remove repeated operations, the more that dispatchers can focus on things that require human intelligence. There are some things, right? I mean, you can imagine a driver on the side of the road, like say their car breaks down and they have to rendezvous with someone else and they have a mix of items in the vehicle and they have to kind of coordinate how to exchange them. There are cases where you need to have a human involved to sort of facilitate the process. But for other things, you don't. And so taking those out of the way so dispatchers can focus more on those types of problems is pretty important. So other things we want to push forward, we want to try to use our data as well as data that our customers provide as far as information about the deliveries themselves that we can surface in better ways to our customers to give them better insight. That's something where we provide an interesting set of information and we're building out more things as we speak, but to focus on these types of problems. But there's a lot we can do there that I think is really interesting. And I think I mentioned prediction. There are a lot of ways you can improve things by a small amount that can make a big difference. And so one thing I like to think about as far as how we can conceptualize what new technologies or new features we can build is this idea of what I would call like the 2% rule. The idea is to imagine what might make a delivery 2% faster. And so if you think, for example, the average delivery is about, say, 5 to 10 minutes long. It can vary a lot, and we have deliveries that are longer or shorter, but 2% of that is not very long. And so when you take that lens, you can see how saving, say, 5 seconds on a delivery can actually improve the efficiency of a business quite a bit. And then you can think about, okay, where do I save 5 seconds? The driver is using the app in a certain way. They have to reach a building. How do you save 5 seconds there? And that can be a UX problem. Or you can look at it in terms of maybe I can learn something interesting, like the driver should park somewhere that allows them to not have to move the vehicle to reach 2 different doors. That can save easily 5 seconds, probably a lot more. So when you take these type of thought process, you can start to see recurring themes. And that's been something I've thought a lot about. So we have a lot of stuff we're working on as well as things we have planned in this type of direction.
Yeah, that's a very interesting road to start going down. Just kind of like, what are the small things that we can learn from each delivery, from each iteration. So, a little more broadly speaking, what does the road ahead look like for you guys?
Stephen, I've never been more excited about the future of the industry and our place in the market. We have an opportunity today to really help retailers make this shift successfully and to survive and even thrive in this new world. Over the past few months, we decided to raise a round of funding as a result of this, despite having been profitable for the past few years. We decided to grow the team a little faster. So we'll be hiring more quickly than ever, roughly doubling our team over the next year or so that we can continue leading the charge in the last mile delivery technology sector. So we have a lot of exciting things ahead of us, including many exciting features and products on our roadmap.
Well, first of all, congratulations on that round of funding. It sounds like you guys are owning your growth and being strategic about this. I know retaining and developing the culture you built is a strategic advantage for you guys for Onfleet. What does that look like to each of you?
For me, part of that is building in what I would call like an idea meritocracy, where everyone can contribute their ideas in a way where the best ideas can win. As we grow, we're going to introduce more structure to the organization as a necessity, but it's important that everyone is empowered to make a meaningful contribution to our company and to the industry.
Just to add, as we've grown the team over the past few years, and as we look to the future, as we continue to grow the team, our culture will continually evolve and develop. We're super proud of the culture that we have here at Onfleet. And, when people ask me what makes it so special or what the culture is like, I typically kind of focus on we have an obsession with the customer and with our product. We're a very product focused team, and we are just super laid back, but at the same time, we know how to get shit done. And we're all super open minded and eager to learn and grow and kind of curious about the world. And I think we all share that as a team. And hopefully we can maintain those elements as we grow. And I think those are, even more values than cultural. So, we certainly hope that all the new folks that we're able to hire in the future kind of align with those tenets.
And to echo Khaled's remarks there, our culture will certainly evolve, and we're looking forward to contributing to future iterations of it. But at the same time, we really do have a rock solid foundation that we all agree is critical to preserve. Our fellow fleeters love the work we do and how it is that we get it done. So we're laser focused on improving our recruiting process to ensure that it is as fair and diversity centric as it can be, while staying true to the values that we all hold dear. We're investing heavily in people operations and remote work friendliness in order to attract and retain the world's best talent.
All right. Well, thanks. We've been chatting with the leaders and founders of Onfleet. This has been great, guys. And just, as we come to the end here, are there any last thoughts that you want to share with us?
Yeah, we are hiring. So if anyone hears this, we're in a really interesting position in this exciting, fast-growing market. So come join us. Check out onfleet.com/careers or shoot us an email at careers@onfleet.com if you are interested in applying for one of our positions or just learning more about the company. If you're looking to try out Onfleet as a customer, you can sign up today at onfleet.com/signup and take it for a spin with a 2-week free trial. And anyone that's interested in connecting directly with Mikel, David, or I can shoot us a note, just first name at onfleet.com.
All right, cool. I'm sure that those applications will be rolling in. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. It's been really interesting chatting with you and learning a little bit about the company. And best of luck. And I'm excited to see where Onfleet goes.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.